going to bring to you a small series about pelvic floor dysfunction. We are going to name it Gravity is a B Word. Little disclaimer for this video, make sure you check with your local physical therapist that has specialty with pelvic floor. They can do an internal examination to check to see which muscles in the body in that area are weak or too tight. So be sure to check with your local physical therapist that specializes in pelvic floor dysfunction. Did you know that your pelvic floor is actually part of your core? So we were told over and over, Kegels, more Kegels, do Kegels. Well, we're not even doing Kegels right. So the basic Kegel's not going to do the job to make sure we're staying high and tight. Most people do them wrong anyways, right? I'm doing Kegels right now. You don't even know it. No, you're probably not, okay? For the majority of people who are doing Kegels, they're probably using their inner thighs, their adductors, or maybe even getting into their glute too much, okay? So in order to get high and tight, we need to be able to differentiate between not peeing in the pool sensation and don't fart at the party. Can we switch those back and forth, and can we relax between? So some actions that we thought we needed to do prior to heavy lifting are causing unneeded downward pressure into those pelvic floor muscles. So pelvic floor muscles, for the base of the group of muscle commonly called the core, these muscles work with deep abdominal and back muscles along with the diaphragm to support the spine and control the pressure inside the abdomen. So we have a thoracic diaphragm, but we also have a pelvic diaphragm, okay? One is a dome and one is a bowl. The pelvic floor muscles play an important role in supporting the pelvic organs, bladder, bowel control, sexual function in men and in women. When we lift heavy things, the internal pressure of our abdominal area changes. So here's an example. We're gonna go in the garage. I'm in the garage here. I'm gonna go grab a heavy tote, okay? I'm gonna try and lift it. I'm gonna try and bring it towards myself. So as I lift it, the internal pressure increases, and then when you find a place to rest it down, it returns back to normal. This should happen naturally. In a normal situation, the regulation of pressure within the abdominal area happens just automatically. When you lift that heavy tote, the muscle in the core, or core muscles in the core, they work together, okay? So synergistic dance. The pelvic floor muscles lift, the abdominal and back muscles draw in to support the spine, and then breathing is easy underneath that load. When we lift the tote, floor muscles respond appropriately to the increase of abdominal pressure. If any of these muscles in the core, including the pelvic floor, are weak or damaged, the synergistic dance will be altered. This will overload the pressure into the pelvic floor and force down. Boom. Prolapse. Boom. It's all going to fall into that bowl because everything else is off. So if this happens day after day over time, it'll place that downward strain in that pelvic area. You're going to have urine loss. You're going to have not so good control with bowels, okay? Those pelvic organs will start to prolapse. The pelvic floor symptoms could also potentially be worsened over time if something already exists in there, okay? So the pelvic floor muscles have to be flexible to work as part of the core, which means that they need to be able to relax as well as lift and hold, okay? It is common for people to brace their core muscle constantly during heavy loads in a belief that they are supporting the spine. But constant bracing can lead to the muscle becoming excessively tight and stiff, okay? Pelvic floor muscle stiffness commonly coexists with muscle weakness and can contribute to problems such as urinary urgency, leakage, other problems often associated with pelvic floor dysfunction. So a takeaway from all of this is there's a bunch of stuff that can go wrong, and how do we help it, right? We could do exercises and breathing drills to help relax the pelvic floor muscles. Simple drill that you could do to help relax pelvic floor. If you have good control, you can come down here, outward pressure, and just try to relax, right? Act as if you're gonna go pee or relax. Don't pee, but just relax and try to learn how to relax. If you don't have good control in this position, you can get closer to a wall and lean into the wall a little bit, or you can lie flat on your back and bring your legs up and hold your legs. Hold it, relax, breathe. Okay, those are some basic stretching exercises if you think you have pelvic floor tightness. So a quick list of things to think about to see if you have this pelvic floor dysfunction or prolapse would be leakage when you exercise, laugh, cough, or sneeze, needing to get to the toilet in a hurry or not making it there in time, a frequent need to go to the bathroom, finding it difficult to fully empty your bladder or bowel, and then prolapse, feeling fullness or heaviness down there constantly or towards the end of the day, pelvic pain, just pressure down there, pain during intercourse, or a poor sensation of loss or battle control during sexual intercourse. Low back pain is also a big sign of pelvic floor dysfunction. So synergists, right? Muscles that work together. We want to have a synergistic dance with our pelvic floor, our abdominal muscles, and that posterior chain. If something is off, something's gonna give, okay? We want everything to work together. And I think for a majority of people, when they're thinking about core strengthening, they are really trying to just brute force and just get this like six pack or just bearing down all the time and bracing that core, which could be causing long-term damage. So we need to create a more synergistic dance with all the muscles in our trunk. We could be cranking out way too many crunches, so we need to be avoiding those basic crunch type of workouts and maybe back out a little bit and learn to relax, let gravity bring everything back where it needs to go, meaning I'm gonna flip you up a little bit and get you to put more control into the pelvic floor and get you more connected with yourself. Things to avoid would be higher intensity abdominal exercises. So sit-ups, curl-ups, crunches, abdominal exercises with a medicine ball, V-ups, double leg lowering, plank position on hands and feet, and not knowing how to control the pelvis, so things are just kind of hanging on. Things that will put you at risk for having pelvic floor dysfunction, obviously being pregnant and carrying heavy babies or multiple babies. Menopause will cause it. Anytime that a person has had like hysterectomy and things have been removed. Elite athletes will also be at risk for this due to maybe heavy lifting. Constant strain, if you're somebody who's had constipation for a lifetime and you're constantly bearing down, that could be a problem and cause pelvic floor weakness or dysfunction. Okay, so let's move on to some of the relaxation drills that we can do to get gravity to help bring those pelvic organs down. Once they are away from the weakened wall, we can start to really key in and concentrate on how to control those pelvic floor muscles. There are muscles that are more superior and inferior to each other. So there's muscles that surround the sphincters, so where your urine comes out, your urethra, around the vagina, so around the anus, the anal sphincter, okay? So what we're gonna do is get into a comfortable position. So some of the tools that you might need are basic pillows. You can get multiple of these, or if you have any type of wedge, that's also very helpful, okay? And you might be doubled like that, okay? So I'm gonna lie down and I'm gonna get my hips to get elevated, okay? I'm also just gonna use a pillow because it's gonna be so much more comfortable to do this. Okay, so now that my hips are up and elevated, I'm gonna just start to imagine those organs coming towards and in me. And honestly, this might be where you start, just getting more comfortable here. I have my knees about shoulder width support and my feet are relaxed on the floor. The first thing I'm gonna do is find my breath. So I'm gonna put a hand on my chest and a hand on my belly. And I'm just gonna take a couple of deep breaths in and I'm gonna see where my breath goes. my breath is mainly in my chest, I want to try and really get more into my diaphragm, okay? So I'm going to place my hands on my ribs, and then I'm going to ask myself, are my ribs expanding and my belly coming out, or is everything coming still into my chest? Okay, I want to expand those ribs. Amazing how the body works, but my thoracic diaphragm, actually, there's parts of it that connect all the way down to my tailbone. So everything needs to work in that synergistic dance. So I would just like you to take a couple of minutes and feel the expansion of your ribs, feel the expansion of your belly. If you need to pause the video, that's fine, but I'd like you to take 3 minutes to do so. Okay. After you've really got that rhythm down, I want to talk about your exhale and really thinking about relaxing and pulling everything up, okay? This is not where you need to be sucking in, okay? No sucking in and no pushing out. This is where we need to really learn how to relax and talk to our pelvic floor. I know that might sound silly, but some focal points I want you to take into effect or into thought is right here, your hip bones, okay? So be thinking about your hip bones. And I want you to think about your abdominal muscles. So our rectus abdominal muscle connects to the bottom of our ribs all the way down to our pubis symphysis, okay? So this is a huge coordinator with how we brace for things also. So let's go ahead and just relax here. Take a breath in, feeling that belly space. And as we relax, I just want you to give enough power through that breath that you would be blowing like a dandelion, or if you like to blow bubbles with your kids, blow bubbles. You don't necessarily have to put a lot of stress in your face, but I just want you to be able to blow it out. I don't want you bearing down to blow. I just want you to think about those abdominal muscles helping. It should happen naturally. Here we go. Breath in and breath out. So relaxing again, breath in, breath out. I want you to think about that pelvic floor coming in. Those 2 points on your hips coming in. They won't come together, obviously, but I want you to visualize it. Breath in. All right. So let's talk about the sphincters, okay? So I want you to think about where the pee comes out, your urethra, okay? So I want you to think about not peeing in the pool. We're going to do it 5 times, okay? I just want you to hold the pee from peeing in the pool and then relax that muscle. So hold it back for 3 to 5 seconds. Don't pee in the pool, don't pee in the pool, don't pee in the pool. And relax for 3 to 5 seconds. Really the pee hole only. Don't pee in the pool. And relax. Don't pee in the pool. And relax. Some specialists will try to have you do that on the toilet. I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to stop the pee back and forth. It can build a bad relationship between the brain and actually peeing. So I would rather you practice that here in this position, especially without the actual pressure into that area. Because if you think about it, when you're sitting on the toilet, you have a lot of downward pressure and weight. In this position, you can actually gain control, and that's what we're looking for. The next hole, we're working with women here, so we're talking about the vagina, okay? I want you to think about there being a blueberry right on the outside of your vagina, a blueberry, a raspberry, whatever you want to imagine. And I want you to imagine kind of opening up the vaginal hole, and then now I want you to pick up the blueberry and then release the blueberry. We're going to do it a couple times. So go ahead and grab the blueberry and relax the blueberry. I don't want you to be feeling it from the pee hole or the booty hole. I want you to feel this from the actual vagina. So pick your blueberry up, hold that blueberry, And now release the blueberry. Fully release like a flower. Opening the flower. All right. Now, you can do this until you start to really kind of lose the control, the tiring out, okay? So just do it one more time. Grab the blueberry. And now release the blueberry. Okay, good. Moving on to the last one, which is our booty. Okay? This one you can imagine a marble. Okay, there's a marble right there, and you're going to pick up the marble, and you're going to hold on to the marble, and then you're going to relax. Now, you'll notice a lot of people have more control here. So this would be like, don't toot in front of your friends, or don't toot at the party, is what I've heard in other types of lessons with this. So we're going to pick up the marble, hold the marble, and then fully relax the marble. Let's do this a couple times. So I'm going to grab the marble, and then relax the marble. Okay, you can pause the video and do this a couple of times. I'll allow you to do that now. Or we can practice this later. You can do this in bed too. Nobody will ever know. Okay, so now let's go and see if we have control at all three. Okay, so let's not pee in the pool. And relax it. Pick up the blueberry. And relax it. And grab the marble and relax it. A lot of people will work these exercises but never fully relax. So make sure you're relaxing. If you need to turn out, you can turn out, and you can do it just like this. Gravity is still working in your favor. Okay? Make sure you're elevated and just relax. Okay? Now let's go back to our breathing. Breathe in, fill it, and blow it out. And I can really feel it. I can really feel it kind of doing that lift portion. And you don't necessarily get to feel that in a standing position. Okay, so this is the position I really want you to start focusing on. You can maybe do it, set a timer for about 5 minutes. I would do it 3 times a day. I know a lot of people don't have time in the middle of the day. I know it. Okay, so it might be in the morning, after work, and then before bed. Okay, not in the middle of the day at work. Now, some other things that you can start to do here is take that breath in, lift your hips, hold it, and then breath out. It'll get those glutes to fire. So I'm going to lift in, lift up, and blow it out and come down. As you get better and more coordinated, you can remove your wedge. But what tends to happen is females will get super open here to where there's a lot of space, and we want there to be no space. Okay, so here's what it would look like without your wedge. So making sure that I'm keying in all the right muscles. Lifting the pelvic floor. Lifting my booty off the floor. And then as I come down, I'm going to relax. Making sure my back is still flat and I'm not here. That's going to open up all of this, as that's not what I want. It's going to make my lower back muscles tight and taut. That's not what I want. It's taking away from that synergistic dance. So remember, we're just going to do that 3 times a day if you have the time for it. So set a timer, 3 to 5 minutes in the morning, after work, and before you go to bed. Try this for a few weeks and see if that pelvic pain or prolapse starts to get a little bit better. Remember, if you're having issues, always communicate with your local physical therapist that specializes in pelvic floor. I am a physical therapist assistant. I have had some training in this, mainly in school. I've had some clients in the past with my functional movement and kettlebell. Clients actually have problems that we've been able to assist them and coach them through. And then they just started to notice that when they laughed or sneezed or coughed, they weren't peeing themselves anymore. So there are some takeaways from this. Make sure when you're lifting heavy items, you're not bearing down into it, but that you're lifting up. Really start to visualize and put that into perspective. So your thoracic diaphragm working with your pelvic diaphragm. I really hope you have some takeaways from this
small series. The next video that I will be releasing will have some strengthening exercises. So today's focus was on education and relaxation to help gravity bring those pelvic organs up. You communicate with your pelvic floor to get more engaged. So then when we move on to the strengthening exercises that brings in more of your core and back muscles, you will be able to feel the difference between a good rep and a bad rep. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel.